It's been a while since we last heard anything from Zoe Quinn. Begone, thought, begone and take your can of lies with you. Other than the comic book series she's seemingly just been handed, apparently for no reason, having no applicable skills or experience whatsoever. Other than that, the last we heard of her was this Kickstarter for this Chuck Tingle based full motion video adventure. Whatever happened to that?
Yo ho ho ho! What have we here?
Well, that project raised $85,000 and was supposed to be delivered in February of last year. It's now August of current year, and other than that pre-alpha footage, there's basically fuck all. Now, Angela Knight, leader of Gamergate, went to Chuck Tingle's Twitter. Chuck Tingle is a pseudonym for an anonymous author of trash. We'll get to that in a sec. And she started asking, oh, what's going on? Your name is all over this project, and there's nothing. $85,000 has apparently just disappeared. I mean, what's going on? She went on and on and on at him, as you might expect, on behalf of people who backed it, really, and eventually managed to force an update from Ms. Quinn. An update that isn't available for anyone to see if they haven't backed the project, so publicly what she said is life stuff happened and blah 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 blah, and I'm in Japan and I'm writing this comic book, and I've done this book tour for this book that I put out, which is also trash and bears little resemblance to reality, but there you go. So, not really that much of an excuse given the amount of lateness, given the amount of money involved, but I do have to be somewhat fair.
Anything goes when it comes to hoes, because pimpin' ain't easy.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
Come on, pimpin' ain't easy.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
Oh, pimpin' ain't easy.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
Oh, pimpin' ain't easy.
Pimpin'
Go
ain't
on out.
Crowdfunded projects aren't easy at all. There's a lot of pressure because you've raised a lot of money. There's a lot of people on your back who've given you money who want you to get the product out as quickly as possible, and there's all kinds of things that can go wrong, even if you sensibly add a bit of time onto how long you think it'll take. My Tales of Gore project was really late, and that was an awful lot of strain on me. I'd done all that I could, but there was a single point of failure on that project with the artist, but the artist was a major selling point of it, and it wasn't their fault. It was that life got in the way. They'd underestimated the amount of research they needed to do. There was other work they had to do to pay the bills. All this kind of stuff adds up, and there's all kinds of things that can go wrong, and the more moving parts there are in a project, the more likely it is to go wrong. The fewer there are, if something does go wrong, it's really gone wrong and it's really difficult. So you might not be lying, and when you back a Kickstarter, you're taking a risk. It's like it's a bet. I bet that if I give you this money, you'll be able to complete the project and deliver this stuff to me. There's no guarantees, it's an investment. Don't spend money on projects that you can't afford, or that you can't live without. Just don't do it. It's a risk. I mean, good people will do all they can to get a project out on time, or if not on time, done, and with some kind of compensation, like extra free shit or something. That's what I did, but it is difficult and there is an immense amount of pressure. That said, someone with Quinn's record you should probably be extra cautious about. Now, I appreciate that a lot of this is inside baseball to a lot of people, so here's the Cliff Notes version of the background leading up to all this, rattled off as quickly as I can. Who is Zoe Quinn? Zoe Quinn created a text adventure called Depression Quest, which initially I thought was pretty good, useful. I have depression, it helps some people understand what that was, but it received kudos and lauding in the games media far in disproportion to the skill or the talent or the polish or anything else to do with it. Quinn's former boyfriend at some point then came out and did this big post basically marking her as someone abusive emotionally and not to be trusted, meant just for their friends really, but they pasted it around a lot of places because, you know, when you're a bitter ex, you do that sort of thing. People had a few lulls at that, but eventually it came out that a lot of the positive coverage that she had been getting from people she'd slept with behind her boyfriend's back. That was the spark that set off Gamergate, because these relationships were not disclosed, and whether anything untoward was going on or not, you're supposed to disclose these kind of relationships if you're any sort of professional journalist whatsoever. So that was the Franz Ferdinand moment of Gamergate. Since then, Quinn has made a great deal of money and had a great deal of career opportunities because she's seen as this helpless damsel in distress. Such feminism. Anyway, there are parallel issues. See, Gamergate wasn't just about that, it was also about censorship and the politicisation of games as a medium, and there have been similar fusses going on in other aspects of nerd media. The Hugo Awards is another locus for all of this that has been going on. They've been perceived to be becoming increasingly elitist and politicised, and they have been excluding old-style flashbang, rockets, lasers and big-bosomed ladies type science fiction and fantasy in a preference for politicised fantasy and science fiction, for promoting people because of what they are, not because of what they've done, and trying desperately to get some kudos for being more literary. And there was a movement against that called the Sad Puppies. The actual militant right wing of that is called the Rabid Puppies. The rest of them just basically want a fair shake or some kind of answer to the accusations of politicisation and so on. This is all centred around the Hugo Awards. So how does this all relate? Well, these two movements kind of cross-pollinated, and now Comicsgate and others, you've got similar arguments being made and being misrepresented and so on. And as part of the disruption of the Hugo Awards, the protest that was going on, Chuck Tingle was put forward as a nominee for a Hugo Award for Space Raptor Butt Invasion, if I remember correctly. This is not as much of a stretch as you might think, because there have been lesbian dinosaur erotica things nominated before, so it was a kind of a protest against that. Tingle's good at self-publicity and so on, so kind of rode that wave a bit. Where does that link to Zoe Quinn? Well, Zoe Quinn's Crash Override book, despite being trash and nothing to do with science fiction, has also been nominated for a Hugo Award. That seems to me to be a tacit admission that it's fiction, perhaps, but she's been nominated and she shouldn't have been, and Tingle has been nominated and he shouldn't have been, so there's your connection there. But the background of that, of course, is these movements demanding equanimity and fairness in these kind of genres and against the politicisation and so on. Yeah, they're painted in the same right-wing illiberal light, no matter what the truth is, and so there's a natural allyship going on there. And so I think the Chuck Tingle video game was basically intended to be a simultaneous fuck you to both Gamergate people and to Sad Puppies people. But of course, in fucking up, all she's done is add grist to the mill for these people. But then, okay, who is Chuck Tingle again?
Hell no! Why why don't I show ye?
I'm ready to get tingled!
Hi, I'm Hot Man.
Now, Chuck Tingle is the pseudonymous author of trashy, throwaway erotica, gay erotica, usually X slammed in the butt by Y. Very short, very trashy, one-note, throwaway titles. Now, I can't complain about that if you can make a living doing that. Fantastic, but it is very much a one-trick pony. And this whole persona and all the rest of the stuff around it is obviously ripe for exploitation. Exploitation fiction, being exploited by other people, and I guess there you go. It's just a sad indictment of the state of so many things in the world today. Sure, it's fun, but the joke has surely worn thin by now. And this epic fail, though they may yet pull something out of the bag, who knows, just adds to that sense of tiredness around the whole fucking thing. Oh well, here's hoping the backers do eventually get something for their money, and I'm just gonna enjoy the demise of Will Wheaton and the difficulties that Quinn is having, despite being handed everything on a plate ever since 2014. Zang.
This is a lie, don't come by. This is the end of nations' borders. These are the fears I'm trying to hide. Emily's
This is horrible what happened today. See, I don't like the, I have, okay, like a lot of you, I hate a lot. You know? But I hate with style and creativity. Yeah!